Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. We're coming to you live here from our studio in sweltering South Florida, bringing you an episode of our first impression session of PSI Presents. And today we had the pleasure of showing off Caper by Keymaster Games. But first off, who are we? I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
And we are Twist Gaming. Thank you all for joining us today. I like that little twist you got there.
I've been wanting to do it all night.
So, Caper. A little brief on what it is it's a drafting game where we are playing as thieves trying to rob famous establishments in various countries. So for tonight's stream, we were robbing France, and the three locations that we chose were the casino, so like the Casino Royale, if you will, the Gala, the French Gala, and the Louvre. That's how you say it, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But we were drafting our thieves to go and rob these places and then also give them gear in order to power them up and get more points that way. So we take our turns back and forth, and it's typically a two-player game. There are 3- and 4-player variants, but today we had the chance to do the standard 2-player head-to-head variant. Yeah. And typically we like to start this out with the player that talks first is the player that won the game, which tonight is none other than Ann. Ann beat me, so by 2 points.
Yeah, it was really close.
2 points. So, Ann, give us your favorite aspects of Caper.
I'm going to start right off the top with a favorite of this particular game, and it's not only this specific game, but kind of more of a general consideration that Keymaster pays to their games in general. So I had the great opportunity to interview Maddox a little bit before we delved into Caper, and what he was sharing with me about Keymaster Games is that the guys there are graphic designers. So when they switched over into the board game industry, they brought a lot of that mentality with them. And something that I really enjoyed about that is they said, you know what's going to set my board game apart? What's going to make this really good? How can I make this special? So when they did the design of the game, I've got to find the cards. Here we go. They put a lot of little extra elements into the game. You know, the game's really pretty. The color scheme is absolutely fantastic. You can tell that these guys are good at what they do. And I really enjoyed, like, he talked about the gold foil kind of ink, metallic ink on the game. It's just the little kinds of things that make a board game enjoyable to play.
Kind of like the luxury finishing polished items on there.
Yeah. I mean, the art on the game is just, it's very pretty. It's very enjoyable to play. It's very fun. Here's, I want to show you the Caper catalog. So in this game, you get gear items. And on the front of the, I think it's the quick reference guide inside of there. Yes. It's cute. It looks like a catalog. Now, they did the same thing with Campy Creatures, which is another game that I like to play. And, you know, this kind of reminded me of the storybook from Zepocalypse 2. And I just really enjoyed how... I love the attention to detail where you can take something like a rule book, which nobody really loves, and make it fun. Like, it looks like a catalog.
It kind of reminds me of, like, the backside of comic books with all of the cheesy ads.
Yeah, looks like a cheesy ad.
Fire sale! Get it because it's fire! So I'm going to talk a little bit here about, I really want to touch on the graphic design of the game, and it's super pretty, and Ann talked about the colors, and they used a very off-the-beaten-path color scheme for this game, so we're not talking about red, green, blue, yellow. Right. We're talking mint. This is like a salmon, if you will. Their standard beige color they call cream, and then the blue is teal.
Yeah.
So it's
There's
a very
blue and a teal.
Yeah, so it's a very pastel, like pleasant,
soft,
neutral,
calm,
Eastery color palette.
That's got a mix of all of them.
This has got a mix of like all the colors there. So it gives you an idea of what you're seeing there for the colors. And Maddox said it before during the playthrough on our PSI Presents stream. But he was kind of saying that they were going for a Wes Anderson vibe for the game. And before he said it, I knew that there was something about this game that seemed familiar to me. And I definitely noticed it after he said that, where it's got that kind of artsy, soft color palette vibe to it that you would see in like a typical Wes Anderson film. So I thought that that was really interesting that he mentioned that.
Will you crucify me if I tell you I have no idea who Wes Anderson is?
No.
Okay. I don't. I just like the game. I think it's really pretty. You know what else I really liked about it?
What's that?
Sometimes, okay, so, and I think maybe this is a touching on our specific play styles and our gaming group's specific play styles. I feel like you're a very aggressive player. I don't know what would have possibly have given me that notion. So I was really nervous actually sitting down knowing that this was going to be a head-to-head game because I felt off the bat like I was going to lose. Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned that there is a lot going on in this game. And there is. There is a lot going on in this game. I spent there's inside of the catalog here. They have explanations for all the iconography. So I spent a lot of the time reading what the descriptions were for each combination, and it's simple. It's one sentence. It's really quick for me to understand, and I think that this is something that if I play the game enough, I'll get a better idea of what each card is for. But it is having ADD. It is a lot. That being said, it was so nice knowing that there were so many different ways to score points. Mm-hmm. I was not able to be cornered by you and your aggressive play style because I could take so many other routes to score points.
Okay.
That I really enjoyed.
I did enjoy the simplicity of the mechanics of the game with the one round, you have X number of cards, you draft, place back and forth, place them down, that's it. Next round, you're doing that with a different set of cards, and it's just, you jump back and forth 3 times. It's very simple and straightforward in that aspect. So I thought that was very nice, that it was straightforward there. And I like that they give you a little scoring pad in the game. It's a little simple thing, but it kind of goes a long way.
There's so many ways to score, it's nice to keep it organized at the end of the game.
All right, so any other aspects of the game that really jumped out to you that you wanted to talk about today?
No, I think those are my highlights.
So then jumping into constructive criticisms here, this is the part where we like to talk about aspects of the game that if we had the opportunity, we might want to tweak a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump in here, and you touched on it briefly before, was saying that there's a lot that's going on here. And Maddox talked about it too during our playthrough of the game, where there's a pretty substantial hurdle in terms of iconography in the game in the beginning. And I'm not calling you out on anything. You kind of bogarted the book for the icons, and I understand why, because there's a lot that's going on, and I didn't want to keep taking it from you. And but there was a point where I was a little bit confused about some of the icons because there are so many of them. So maybe that could have been trimmed down a little bit better. I don't know, but that was just a little bit heavy of a hurdle for me in terms of getting into the groove of the game. I didn't really feel like I got into a groove until the final round there, and I think it takes at least 1 or 2 playthroughs to feel truly comfortable with the iconography in the game.
I will 100% agree with that. And so these are the cards that you get. One player gets the green mastermind, one player gets the cream mastermind, and the only difference is the mastermind color on the top is a different color. The back one is the 2-player quick setup, and that's for on both cards.
Right.
I didn't look at the back of the card once. Granted, we had Maddox here who was able to help us throughout the whole game. Guys, I think that space there would be better used as a, you've got the book, which has all the great
iconography cheat sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be super, there's no way you're going to be super explanatory on the back of that quick reference card.
No.
But I think that for a quick setup, I think
a few prime examples.
Yeah, a few prime examples. I think that would have been a better use of that space.
I can see that.
Especially you got somebody bogarting the book like me. You need somebody's got to have something.
Right.
And it'll help the play go faster.
Right. So you're basically, if you have that quick reference printed in multiple places, so that way multiple people can look at it, and you only need it in 2 places because it's a primarily two-player game. So
I'm sure that's something that after you've played for enough times, you get the hang of each of the character's special abilities, but it's definitely a learning curve, a hurdle.
One thing I do want to point out, Josh was not on this stream, but I'm going to take this point for him here and say that there is a little bit of a challenge in terms of colorblind gamers here, because the game does rely on your ability to recognize certain colors, and because they don't have the defined bold colors in this game, which is a positive in my eyes in some aspects because it's really pretty and like all non-standard.
Yeah.
But for a colorblind gamer without some sort of defining characteristic aside from the color, it could be a difficult game to play in terms of that.
I agree, because a lot of the points that you can gain have to do with
What
sets.
color cards.
And sometimes with the color cards, it's easy enough to know that, okay, gear, all the thieves are going to be a cream color, right?
I'm assuming, Josh, that you have a slight problem with these two here.
It's more the icon here,
Yeah.
and especially the cream color of the thieves.
Oh, yeah. So what Josh is saying is that the actual. So you have to give.
Here's
if you
a green card.
Can you give me one of the thieves themselves with scoring points? That yeah. So for example, here. So this thief is going to give you 1 caper for each green card that you have. Problem is, you have to be able to see the color of that card there. So sometimes it's the teal, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's blue. So it can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, and sometimes it's cream, where I even had a problem sometimes distinguishing between the green and the cream because small icon far away.
Yeah, I think some iconography for the various color sets would go a long way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, we
Thanks, everyone. We really appreciate it.
our particular gaming group has somebody who is colorblind, so it is a point for us.
Right.
I have ADD. That's another point for us.
I play like a jerk.
Yeah, it's definitely a point for us. But, the board gaming industry is, a majority of the audience is male, and is it something like 10% or like 1 out of maybe even more than that of guys specifically are colorblind. So it's kind of a real concern in this particular industry.
Absolutely. All right, so are there any other aspects of the game that you would tweak if given the opportunity there, Anne?
No, I won.
All right, so jumping into the most important question of the evening, and that would be, would you play this game again? So, Anne.
I definitely would play this game again. I think that this game is a cute filler game, but I would definitely bring it out with people who are familiar. I don't think it's a gateway game.
Yeah.
I think with all the iconography, I think that this is a game that people who are more used to hobby games are going to be more comfortable with.
It's interesting that you say that because I do agree that usually we say that light games are gateway games. And this happens to be a light game that is not a gateway game. Because there's definitely a significant learning curve to the game itself. And as you were saying, I'd have to agree. I would play this if someone else brought it out. And because I'm familiar with it, I don't typically tend to gravitate towards 2-player games, just because we typically play in groups of 3 or more.
Yeah.
There are 3 and 4-player variants. I can't speak to how those are, but I think that the iconography is a significant enough hurdle that I wouldn't bust this out for a first-time player unless they had their heart set on playing it. But I would play it again if it was suggested to me to play. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, is there anything else that you want to add tonight for Caper, Anne?
No, I think that's it. I want to send again a special thank you to Keymaster Games and to PSI for making this show possible tonight.
Absolutely. So thank you all for joining us this evening, and we hope to see you all again soon. And we're going to be doing a giveaway of Caper in just a minute, as well as one that's going to be done through our Gleam giveaway. So that link's going to be posted in chat right now. So that's your opportunity to go ahead and enter for that. And the keyword for that entry is
Thieful?
Thieful.
So that's at twistgaming.tv/giveaway. You can earn points for that offline giveaway in several different ways, and one of them is the secret code word of
Faithful. All right, thank you all for joining us this evening. This is going to be Twist Gaming signing off. I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.